You prepare yourself. Sometimes you fast. Sometimes you pray for the person. I always fast myself before I go out. You don't make medicine where people go. No. You make medicine up on the mountain, where close to water, to lake, to stream. That's how I was taught by my grandmother. And I raised 15 kids on those medicines. There was no doctors. We had midwives to deliver our babies. I just have 2 kids born in the hospital. So that's how it was in the 30s. Is that an answer?
Yes.
Okay. How you
So with the preparation before you start to cook your medicine.
When you go out, you don't go where people go, I told you. To keep where is nobody go. And then you pick up the medicine, you wash them, and you bundle it up while it's green. Because when it's dry, it's hard to make it into a bundle. So while it's fresh, you bundle it up. And then you could dry it if you want to save it. And that's it. Oh, you want to know how long I cook it? Sometimes I cook it 2 hours. Sometimes I cook it 4 hours. It all depends on how strong you want to make it. You have to use your head to see how strong it is. Too strong, not very good. Some take it by the tablespoon like older. They don't take it in a cup because it's very strong, older, red older. Okay?
Thank you, Sophie.
I think where I'm at right now is I'm really worried about identifying all our plants. We know what is happening out there, eh? And the plants are deteriorating very fast, and if we do not protect these plants, we're going to be the losers. We have people that are telling us the value of the medicines, but we're not going into the protecting of it. So I brought some slides, one set of slides that I brought. Each slide has a story in it pertaining to the medicinal, the edibles, the environmental issues. That's very crucial right now. So it'll take me only a few minutes to set up, if you wanted me to do that.
Yes, we could.
And it's there for recording, or there's no restriction. It's totally my very own, so there's no fear in anybody saying, well, it's copyright or anything. It's my very own. Hard time trying to convince the logging outfits, lumber industry, about the destruction that they're doing to our mountains and affecting our plants. The birch tree in itself is a very important tree to our people. We take the birch bark to make our containers. And also there's a growth on that tree. It's a fungi that grows on the tree that our people, one time when there was no such a thing as matches, that they used to carry their fire from one place to another. This fungi, if you break a little piece and put it in an already burning fire, it'll ignite and it'll smolder, and it won't go out unless you wet it or crush it. Well, our people used to do that. They'd break a little piece, put it against the fire, put it in a freshwater clamshell, wrap it with leaves, put it in their canoe and travel up or down the river for miles. They get to where they're going, they open it, it's still smoldering. You blow it and blow it with dry tinder kindling, and you start your fire all over again. We didn't need matches long time ago. We didn't have such a thing as matches. And the other and very important thing about the birch tree is, like the young lady was saying, you have to have that vision. Our elders taught us that in order for a person to be able to make medicine to heal another person, you have to have that, you have to study to reconnect your aura with the plant before it's of any value. Now, when the birch tree is standing in the winter time, the sap has gone into the ground. In the spring, the sap starts to come up. It goes up in the tree, creates leaves, and it's up there collecting solar energy. It's the wind, the sun, the rain is creating that solar energy to strengthen it. In the fall, when the sap goes down, the leaves drop and it deteriorates and creates compost. It builds up the soil. And when the sap is in the ground, other plants are feeding from it. Now, when the forestry go in and bulldoze everything out, they are destroying the earth that's been built up by Mother Nature. They pile it up and burn it. And this is something that those conventions that I've been a guest speaker at, way as far as Eugene, Oregon, I have really been stressing the point that when they bulldoze a mountainside, you're destroying Mother Nature. Now, to prove a point, what I did in the spring, it was this great big birch tree, a stump, and 3 grew out of it about yay big. I took one of those trees, put a slit in it, and made a little makeshift spigot out of a piece of birch bark. And I was getting a gallon of sap in the morning, 1 gallon at night for a full week. And I was making syrup out of it. It's the most beautiful tasting syrup. Now, just to prove a point to the forestry, I told them just in that 1 week I was getting 14 gallons of sap out of that one little tree. After the 1 week, I pulled a spigot out and mud packed it so that it healed itself. And I had jars and jars of syrup. Now, when they plant evergreens like the fir, the pine, the cedar, whatever they plant, and then 4 years later, all these leafy trees come up. They go in there and they cut everything out, tree space. And I told them, what you're doing is you're depriving the plants of natural food. Now, when they go and tree space, they make sure they leave a certain amount of leafy trees, and I made a whole list of trees that they should leave, and that includes our edibles, Bush cranberries, chokecherries, chocolate, you name it, huckleberries, anything that is edible, hazelnuts that feed our little squirrels. So forestry is really coming around now. They're beginning to meet us across the table and say, yes, we fear that we're doing the wrong thing. We will listen to you. But when they destroy the medicinal plants, they were also throwing in a bunch of grass. And these grasses, we found that they are introduced species of grass that have very fine roots. And those roots intertwine, and it's creating a thick carpet. When we go to try and dig for our plants that are edible and medicinal, at one time our grandparents, I went with my grandmother when she used to dig for roots, the potato edibles that I'll be showing you. She only used a stick to turn the sod, and we children dug behind, and we only were allowed to take the big ones. We buried the smaller ones. Here today, we cannot do that. It is such a thick sod, we have to use a shovel and a pick to get a little bucket of root edibles. I went to the forestry, I went to the provincial parks, representatives, and I told them all this, that we had found was a problem. Now they're beginning to turn around again and say, yes, you're right. We will have to find new ways of dealing with it. So I think it's equally important to identify our medicines, but it's equally important to fight the government, political people, and make them realize how important our medicines and our edibles are by doing the things that I took upon myself to prove a point. So that's the story behind. And not only that, in creating something with our hands, when you sit down, when you go to get your birch bark, it takes you hours of walking to get the right kind of bark. You don't go to the first tree and cut it and make a basket, because bark are different. Some are very brittle, some are like elastic. You have to walk and look and look. And when you bring it in, you sit down and you cut it out and weave it. So when you create things with your hands, you value it in comparison to what society today is offering. When I ask my young people, let's go pick huckleberries, my God, they're running around. Where's our plastic bucket? Where's our plastic ice cream bucket? You know, plastic is taking over, and we're not teaching our little children the sense of value. We're losing that. And that's the story behind the first picture. Oh, I'm going backwards. Must like looking at myself. The mushroom family. We have a lot of mushrooms in the interior. Wherever there's a burn, you'll see people just going in there for the morels. Very, very beautiful mushroom family. And this one here, I have two kinds of mushroom, the pine mushroom and the cottonwood mushroom. There are other plants, but I really do not like to go into the mushroom all that much, because there are some mushrooms that are very, very deadly poisonous. So you have to really know what you're gathering to be able to enjoy the mushrooms. This one here is a plant that we ate. The berry, am I in your way? Could I go further? This is a plant that we eat early in the spring. One of the first plants, it's the desert parsley. Before it goes into the flower, you take the young shoots, you peel it, and you eat it, and it tastes just like parsley. Beautiful plant eating. If I say the Indian names, we have different dialect. So I think the English language has done us a lot of good. We can at least communicate. This is a close-up. When we have classes, we usually like to show the leaf so that the students will look at the leaves, because a lot of plants have the same identical almost identical flower, but they have different leaves, and some are poisonous. So we have to be very careful if you're going to be teaching about plants. There's a close-up of the seed. If you gather the seed and dry them, which is very few today, the plants are getting smaller and smaller. So the seeds are not really producing like they used to, but they're very tasty for stews. You put it in a stew for flavoring. I think the next one I seen down the road, you're all familiar with this one. I seen some down the road and telling my daughter, oh darn it, too late, we could have parked and had a feed. The cow parsnip, they call it. In our language, we call it fet. I have a hard time with the English names, but I know the Indian names really well. Again, we show the leaves. Always show the leaves, because leaves are different. Maybe the flowers are the same. There's a close-up of the edible. Early in the spring, before it goes into bloom, there's a little white balls there, and that's the time to eat it. Just crunchy. Now this is a very interesting picture behind the evergreens. I was involved in, like I mentioned this morning, very involved in the alcohol problem of our people. And I did a real down in-depth study on why were our people so easily addicted. And the reason why we put the evergreens in there, there's a lot of sugar content in the evergreens. Around about May and June, when the jack pine just turn yellow with pollen, if you go to the second growth and you take the outer bark and underneath it you take a knife and scrape and you eat it, it is so sweet. There's a lot of sugar content in the evergreens. And this one here is not a native to our area. It's a borderline up in the northern coast. I don't know if you have it here. The nuts on them, or the cones, have quite big nut. See how big they are? And any kind of nutty meat is really good for you. I really believe in preventative program, not to wait till you get sick and then bring up the remedies. It's better to go back and look at your health, see how healthy you can be, what kind of foods you're eating, how you're resting, how you're exercising. And I'll tell you how I do my exercise. At 71, I can ride a bike. 81, I mean. This one here is a very interesting plant. I don't know if you have this around here. You got some of this, Sophie? The yellow balsam. This one here is both edible and it is a medicinal plant. You have some, it's very good for open sores, and it's also edible. And I took this one to the lab in the university and we broke it down, and it's very high in for your immune system. Lots of antibiotic in it. Very strong antibiotic that if you, and we ate it as our daily diet long ago. The roots, if you take the root, this is a big one. They grow very deep down and you almost have to dig from here to China to get all of it. They're very, very big. And usually I wash it clean and I'll put it on a hard surface and I take a hatchet, really pound before you can crack the shell. Inside you take and you boil it. If you have an open sore, poison ivy, or an ulcer, you boil this root and you wash it in the solution, and then it's When you finish washing, you get the plantain. I don't know if you have the plantain. Surely there must be some around here. You dig it out, wash it clean, and beat it to a pulp. You can make, I know how to make the modern ointment out of it, but I prefer the real thing. You beat it to a pulp till it's just a big pulp. You have an ulcer, a sore, a really bad ulcer, you know how it just eats right almost to the bone. You wash it in the root of this, let it dry, and then you put a poultice of the plantain. In no time it heals it. I do the medicines on the outside, but I'm always afraid to give the internal because of the way we eat today. Now I'll explain because I did a thorough study on it, but I give my dear sister a lot of credit. She's game to pour that stuff down somebody's throat. Right, Sophie? So here's the little ones. I've known Sophie for quite a number of years. The little ones are about that size as the ones that we eat. Those were washed and dried for winter. And I teach my young people how to pit cook. You know, the underground steaming. Oh, it's delicious. Our people used to gather tons of this for the winter. And you dig a hole in the ground and you do your pit cooking. I imagine you all know how to pit cook, eh? Cook underground. If you cook this underground, we did another breakdown study on it. When you cook anything underground, you maintain the full strength of that plant, the medicinal, the vitamins, everything. It is the full value. Like when you boil potatoes, you know, you peel it and you boil it and you mash it. And you throw out the potato water. You're throwing away the food value and you're eating just the pulp. Well, pit cooking was one of the best ways to cook a meal. This one here is our nodding onions. We go out and gather, and you know, these onions used to be quite big. Today I couldn't find anything bigger than, I'd say maybe a walnut. It's about as big as I can find today. And I can remember going with our grandmother and pulling them out, and that's the way they look, almost like your table onions. And they're very strong onion taste, very good for you. We used to gather it and braid them, lay them out in the ground and braid them and let them dry for winter use. I'm back and forth like a yo-yo. I know it's hard on you guys. I wished I had the long. Doing okay? Sorry about that. So there are a lot of root edibles that are edible as well as medicinal. And these are, there's 2 or 3 of them here that, but you see, again, the roots are getting so small in comparison to what it was a long time ago. We had way twice as big when our grandmother used to dig the fennel, and these grow up in the higher altitude. This one here, I know the Indian name and the English name has slipped. These were gathered around about May and June and dried and also pit cooked. I know we haven't got too much time, so I'm not going to take too much of your time. This is another edible as well as medicinal. This one here, early in the spring, we used to go out with our grandmother, and she would dig them out of the sloughs. They're very, very sweet. You just wash it in the water and you break them up and eat it like that. And all these have a lot of medicinal purpose. So when you're eating, and you're eating food that has a lot of medicinal purpose in it, it builds up your immune system. Instead of waiting till you get sick and you're laying there moaning and groaning and then start pouring medicine, you know, it's harder on you. It's better to live a good, clean, active life and know what you're eating. Far better to do that than wait till you get sick and then start. And the roots were way bigger than this. And these slides I've been showing to the conventions I've been going to with forestry and any environmental issues that are being dealt with. And I stress the point that it doesn't matter what plant that we had as our food or our medicine are getting smaller and smaller. And something has to be done. I'm really putting a scare on them. There are two kinds of plants here that we're looking at. The flowers on them look very identical. One is edible, the other is poisonous. You pull the roots out, you will see. This is the root of the second plant. This one here, if you cut into the bulb, a yellow substance will come out. And it was told by the elders that I studied with that what they used to do, when they warred against each other, what they would do is take their arrowhead and dip it into the yellow substance and let them dry, and that's what they used to shoot their enemy. You get one of those arrows in you, the poison right away gets in your bloodstream and you've had it. And this one here is very, very deadly poisonous. The silver leaf, again, those plants used to be really big, and that is also medicinal as well as edible. I guess all our foods had a certain amount of antibiotic in it, and it's our daily diet. You could sleep in a winter house with a big hole in the roof and cold air going through and a great big old bear rug over you. Wow. Clean living. Look at the root of that poor little plant. They were about maybe almost double that when I remember as a child. But that's how small they're getting, just deteriorating something terrible. This is another plant that I'm really worried about. This is the spring beauty. Do you have that around here? It's a little potato. We used to have tons of it around home that we dug early in the spring. We call our squafina. I don't know if you have that around here. They're a potato that our people dug, and when you see a diagram of a winter house, they have pictures of it. There's always these little tiny pits around the outside. That is where they buried their winter cache. And those potatoes are delicious, but I can't find anything very big today. We've traveled pretty near all over, and these are about as big as they'll come now, where they used to be about 2 or 3 inches in diameter at one time, but they're getting too small, and we cannot find anything any bigger than this. We've traveled all over looking. It's just not coming. This one is another edible. And this one is another plant that we analyzed it when it was in a fresh state, and I dried some like our people used to dry a long time ago and pit cook it. And we did the whole process and we broke it down. And that's another plant that has a lot of starch and a lot of sugar. And the reason why I talk about the sugar content in our foods, we found out, we worked with a doctor that had studied down in Mexico. the medicines and the edibles. And he found the same thing happened here in Canada. The type of food that we were eating had a lot of sugar content. When we left that kind of food and went into the modern food, the bleached flour, where bleach is poisons in itself, the refined sugars and all these fried foods, our bodies began to crave for the sugar content that was natural in our natural foods. Therefore, our people were easily addicted to alcohol because of the sugar content in the alcohol. And these were some of the things that we presented to Madame Bejan when we were fighting for the drug treatment centers and counselors. We had to collect all kinds of evidence and numbers in order to give to Madame Bejan, and that's how we won that case to start up the treatment centers and drug and alcohol counselors. And it was by our natural foods, our medicines, that had a lot to do with winning the case. It's a lot of hard work. This is the roots that we find today, which at one time would have been double. We call the avalanche lily. They used to be really big, and you can string it like a necklace and hang them to dry, and they could cook them in the wintertime. They're really delicious. Today, it's so hard to come by because of that thick carpet that I was talking about. We have to use a pick and shovel to get into the roots. This one here is a plant, you probably have some around here, the tiger lilies. They're edible, but you have to acquire the taste. They're real strong onion taste. And I never did like it when I was a little child, but we loved our grandma so much. We'd do anything to please her, so when she'd serve us some of these very bitter tasting root edibles, I'd take a piece and put it in my mouth, quickly swallow it. Oh, you're a good girl, you're a good girl. Here, I just hate it. I'd swallow it real fast so I wouldn't taste it. Sneaky. I learned how to be sneaky very young. The chocolate lily, I don't know. Oh, you bet I'm sitting here today. This one here is the chocolate lily, or the rice root. The roots are also edible, and the roots have one big bulb with tiny little kernels, and I guess that's why they called it the rice root. And our grandmother used to make us take some of the kernels and bury it back to get it to grow more. I guess we were born farmers even in those days. We knew how to get the plants to reproduce. So there's all the different kinds of plants that we looked at. And the bottom one there, when I bring it to the college, the first thing they say, "Oh, what's that human hair doing?" And I said, "Never mind, that's my Indian bannock." That's I don't know, you must know. Willow, we call it. Thing that grows up in a tree. Our granny used to take a long stick with a Y and she'd pull them down and wash it and pit cook it and come out like a licorice. It's yummy. There it is, a whole bunch. Somebody got scalped. You have to clean it really good. Give it a good washing. Take every little particle out and wash it in modern Indian plastic bucket. And there they are after they're cooked. We're doing a 3-day symposium in Vancouver, and I had a table, everything from a little miniature winter house, the furs, anything that pertained to the forest. And it was put on by UBC, and these young people that were taking forestry came along, the whole slew of them. They said, "What is that black stuff there?" So that's my bannock. So I cut it in little slivers I gave each one of them, and they were smelling it, and I ate mine. And said, you're not supposed to smell it, eat it. So they ate it, and they said, oh, it's got a taste all its own. I said, naturally, that's my Bannock, it's good for you. And I said, you young fellows are going to go into forestry, and you're going to go way up in the mountain, you run out of food, you run out of water, you're going to lay down under a tree to die. There'll be food hanging above you. You know, the deer, the bear, the elk, the moose in the winter time, when the snow gets so deep, they can't forage under. So they have to reach up, and that's what they live on. So if there's enough food value in it to sustain a big animal, it tells me there's a lot of food value to keep me going. So we do a lot of the pit cooking up the Willow, or moss, or lichen, whatever. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I think you all are familiar with the Saskatoons. In our area we have two kinds. The Saskatoon, the black ones, and we got the red ones, which are very seedy. But how we cook ours is, we get some bitter roots, or rock rose, they call it in English. We call it speakum. We mix the roots with the berries, and we make little dumplings, like a pudding. And, oh, it's yummy, it's good. This cooking Saskatoons by itself tastes so bland. You know, it's got not very exciting tasting, but if you put a little bit of bitter roots in it, got that grapefruit flavor. For the choke cherries, we talk about vitamins. The choke cherries are full of vitamin. If you dry choke cherries and boil it in the winter and strain it, you can have the best vitamin that keeps your body like fuel in your body. You don't have to buy vitamins. You've got all kinds of it out there. Don't wait till you get sick to feed your body. We're all familiar with the huckleberries. Lots of it up in the mountain, the blackberries. All these soft fruit, this is we call gooseberries. All the soft fruits that I'll be showing, I'll quickly go through them. Oh, this you know is supalali. The soft fruits were made into fruit leather. Here's the modern Indian again with her supalali. Okay, here we have the soft fruits. Soft fruits were made into a fruit leather. And when we were kids, we used to get a chunk of fruit leather. Oh, it was good for you. It's better than a chocolate bar. That's more of the soft fruit, dingleberries. This one was mixed in our meat stews, variation of plants. The nuts are very nutritious. Again, there's our fir tree. At one time, I can remember as a child, we used to go with our grandmother, and she used to pick the icicles off of the fir. They're like sugar crystals, and we can't find any anymore because they have overlogged the old growth. And we've walked all over looking to see if we could find some of these natural sugar on the boughs. And we've never come across it. But now I understand through the forestry there's a place in Merritt they call Sugar Mountain. And there's supposed to be some up there, and you bet your life I'm going up. It grows way up in the alpines, and it has a very strong odor. You can tell where they're grown just by walking into the breeze. You get a strong aroma. Now, if you take the root, it's furry. You clean it while it's fresh and dry it. And if you have a bad sore throat, you take a little chunk of it and put it in your mouth and just swallow your saliva. It's not poisonous. And when You notice when a lot of our singers drum all night and are singing, they'll never lose their voice when they have that in their mouth all the time. It keeps their voice box really good. And then if you, for ceremonial purpose, you can take it and scrape it and put some in your tobacco and roll it, and guess what happens? A little tipsy. That's why I call it my Indian marijuana. Lovage, that's what it's called in English. Lovage. It just hit me. Now the reason why I put this in, this is an introduced species of grass that I usually like to show when I do a workshop with the forestry, recreation and parks. This is an introduced weed that is spreading all over the interior. Now what they're trying to do is they're introducing a little moth among these plants that's supposed to lay eggs in the seed and destroy the seeds. And I question, you do that and it's going to multiply, and they finish off the knapweed, what are they going to attack next? What guarantee have you got that it will not attack our natural plants? Oh, there's a fight, and I'm thankful the chief is here. I got a little proposition after. There's just some more of the plants close up that I showed you. There's a close-up of the Indian tea, and you notice wherever it grows in the interior, I always find this plant close by. This is okay, you can use it as a tea, but I would not guarantee it because you get a certain amount of feeling that you want to throw up. And throwing up is good for you. Our people, I don't know, Sophie will agree with me. There's a lot of times the elders used to say it's good to get rid of it, throw it up. When you have a really bad stomach ailment, they give you certain kinds of medicine to clean you out by throwing it up. And that one, the next to the tea, is one of them that will make you feel like queasy and you want to throw up. This one here is the red willow. You probably have lots of it around here because you got a lot of wet areas. The red willow is equivalent as a painkiller to aspirin. If you have a really bad toothache and you haven't got anything right away to put on your toothache, if you take the red willow and don't scrape it in straight streaks like that because they come out really coarse. You take your knife and the stick and work it like this. Comes out really soft, like spongy. And take some of that and put it on your sore tooth and just leave it. In no time it kills the pain. If you have bad arthritis, you take the red willow and you make a big batch of it and put it in really hot water. Let it get good and hot. Take it out and put it on your arthritis. It kills a pain or a bad bruise or you have an infection, a boil. If you use that as a poultice, it clears it up in no time. So that's the red willow. Sophie probably supports me on that one. Now the red willow also has berries on it, which I call my Indian scope. You know, you buy that bottle of scope and you rinse your mouth and it tastes good after. You don't have to pay any money for this one. You take a handful of that, you put in your mouth and you squish it around. You can swallow it, it's edible, or you can spit it out. It's got quite a bitter taste. But in a few seconds you go, oh, your mouth tastes so clean and fresh. So I call it my Indian scope. It's edible, you can eat it. This is the red, that black, and the blue huckleberries. Just a few, I'm just going to quickly run it. I don't want to take too much of your time. This is a high bush cranberries. You probably have lots around here. Make as much juice as you can. Pick it and make your juice. This is so rich in vitamin. If you drink that juice every day, I guarantee you, the old man cold will never get you. Because you need vitamin to ward off your colds. And this is one real good vitamin in the high bush cranberries. Like I say, I believe in preventative. Now there's a little plant in here that is, we showed all this except this one. And that one is a plant all in itself for, especially for pregnant moms. Oh, here's the pregnant mom right in a tree. I was making some wild cherry bark for decorating our basket, so that got stuck in between pregnant moms. Silly. Okay. You'll see those little white berries way up. This is what we call the bog cranberries. Now this is another plant that I'm really after the highways department. I'm attacking every darn organization. Where we used to gather the bog cranberries, they taste and the size are just like the ones you buy in the store. But they grow in a swamp area, what they call them the bog cranberries. Now we had a great big patch of this going out from Salmonon. The highways went right through it and covered that whole slough. And we walked and looked and looked. One little area way up a place we call Spruce Lake. That's where I found some. And I never tell anybody because it's such a small little area. I save it for me. Now this is the same plant that grows with it. This is another plant that has a lot of vitamin. Oh, thank you, dear. And then on top of that, when our young mothers became pregnant, they were given the best of treatment because our people believed whatever happened to the young mom had an effect on the unborn child. If you ever walk near the area that has these, you can smell the most beautiful perfume smell. The berries are just, oh, I can't describe the smell. Our people used to pick a lot of it and dry it, make tea for the pregnant mom, and also she bathed in it because they had a high respect for the young pregnant moms. They believed in treating her with utmost care so that the baby would be born healthy. And these are the preventative programs that I like to talk about. Oh, this one here, what do they call it? Mountain snowberry, I think they call it. And they grow way up in a high altitude. I think we're coming to the end. Oh, there, that's that bear again that was right on the tree. This one here, I think we're just about the last one. This one here is a medicinal plant they call it in English, Elam. Have you got that around here, Sophie? The Elam. We call it lumine in our language. The Elam is really good for arthritis, any kind of ache. And it's also good for if you have an open cut. You know how the horses, a long time ago, the men used to put sharp shoes on horses, and some of them are clumsy and they cut themselves. It's open and bleeding. My mother used to go out and get the root, wash it clean and pound it and put it on an open cut and it would heal. And that's the elm that grows around in our area. And I guess there's a lot of plants here that you have that we don't have over there. And this one here is It looks like little, some kind of little worms, doesn't it? That's our garnish for our Saskatoon. The bitter roots are rock rose, and it has the same taste as fresh grapefruit. It's delicious. You can eat it fresh, steam it, and eat it fresh, or you can dry it. Of course, we're a little bit more modern today. I freeze mine. And it's really good with Saskatoon. This one here is the carrot, wild carrots. You don't have that here. We got a lot of edibles. There we go. Okay, that's the end of it. Now, I'm really concerned about the environment. And I'm going to be asking our young leaders, not only here, but I've got other workshops and conventions that I will be attending. I just heard when I was leaving home the day before, I'm very alarmed at what I heard, that the provincial government is going to be putting some kind of a moratorium on Crown land, where we, even as Aboriginal people, cannot go up there to gather our berries. We have to have some kind of a permit, let alone dig the roots, our medicines. Now this is hearsay, but I'm alarmed. I'm really afraid. I heard it from reliable sources, so I want to prepare you, because I'm going to be going to all my young elders in the interior and asking for their support on behalf of our elders, that something better be prepared, that we do not lose that. We're lost too much already. I'm fighting like crazy to get the people out there to find that what they're doing to our resources is going to have an effect not only on our people, it's going to affect their future too. So this is, I want to thank you first of all for inviting me here. I hope I've contributed a little bit. And I guess it always shows I'm always so happy to be a part of anything. I can't help it. Sometimes I throw in a little humor, but I guess that's part of me. Okay, I'm all finished. You can...
Lord Jesus, we thank you for this day, and also for our families, our people on all the reserves, all the people that are here, the young people that are here, the photographer, the ones that are taking in the stories. We need healing for our bodies, healing for strength, unity to work with each other in all our communities. We thank you, dear Creator. We praise your holy name. Amen.
I never knew anyone else. I only went by rumors of who was doing medicine and who wasn't, and the strongest point that I got was from Sophie Thomas and Mary John. They were the ones that put a lot of courage into pushing myself to where I got today. There's an elder in Burns Lake, his name is Dennis Alec, and I started off with him. He came up to me and said that the doctor gave him less than 2 years to live. And he said, I know you make strong medicine. He said, I want to start your medicine. And he knows I don't talk carrier. Forgive me for that. I was raised up in a white society where carrier was not much of my knowledge at the time I was growing up. But he understood, and he told me in English that my medicine was real powerful and he wanted to start taking it. The symptoms that he had was stomach cancer, his kidney was failing at the time. There was about 3 other sickness that he had. He mentioned to me that he couldn't say it in English, and we started laughing and joking about it there. And I told him, give me 2 days and I'll bring your medicine in. And without realizing it, I went to bed that night, and my grandma, she appeared in my dream, and she said, this guy wasn't lying, he needs your help. So the next morning, we didn't waste time. As soon as Benny and I had breakfast, we went out, and we said we'll head out towards Utsa Lake, and we went up to this Nadina mountain. That's where I've been getting my supplies, because that place is untouched and hardly anybody goes up there, and there's a very huge amount of fresh stuff that I've been picking up there. And the symptoms that he had, what I mixed, came into my dream. Is I remember I had to pick some junipers and some spruce boughs, balsam, and devil's club. There's four different things that I had to mix, and there was a certain way I had to boil it and keep adding water and boil it and strain it and boil it again. It took about 4 to 5 hours to make this medicine, and I'd come up with about 5 or 6 jugs out of a big pot that I use. There's only one certain pot that I use to make cook my herbs in. Some of the people were telling me they're up to stage 8 on their medicine making. I'm only up to my 4th, and which I think is very good for a young person to reach up that high. Majority of you are up to stage 8 using 10 different herbs or whatever, and I'm getting there and I'm learning. The surprise that I got within the 2 years that Dennis has been taking my medicine, when he first got his bad news, he willed his truck to his son and willed everything else everywhere in his family. I went in every week, and each week I went in, there was another person that needed medicine, and that had to be mixed a different way. So I was constantly making trips out to Nadina. There's one mountain that really had the fresh stuff, that majority of the stuff was untouched by people, like forestry and walks of all life anyway. And pretty soon, without realizing it, I got carried away, and I was doing up to 24 to 26 jugs a week I was bringing into Burns Lake. Without knowing it, that's how much elders were coming up to me, and I was constantly burning out my electric stove, and it didn't bother me, because by accident one came up, somebody gave me one, just had one burner missing, so I said I'll use it. Within the healing, that the medicine that I do is practically killed all his cancer cells, and the liver and kidney, that damage that he had, is all healed, and majority of the other sickness that he had is all gone, and he's back to his normal self. And one day I was walking downtown in Burns Lake. His wife come up to me and said, "You get my husband out for me." I said, "Where is he?" And she laughed, and I knew what she meant when she started laughing. He's sitting in a bar. So I went over there and I got him out, and I said, "That's not a place for you to be. You're just getting healed. You got to get better more." And she started laughing, and she was happy I got him out of there. And now I try to explain to him how to mix this stuff and keep taking it. And majority of the other elders that's taken this medicine, they're starting to feel a lot better. And the result that I got off putting my husband through this medicine too, he started eating better. His mind was focusing better. Like a lot of time you get elders that forget something real easy, and Benny hasn't been doing that. His memory was really good. So each time I add another herb to my medicine, it seems to show a better result. And you're not going to believe this. I have 4 white people on my medicine now. They're going back to our ways too, because they said they're just tired of these prescriptions that they're getting. All it's doing is putting their health down. And your blood type, I can make medicine for that. Your arthritis, I can make medicine for that. If I had more time to explain each and what I do with these, how I make them, and I would be more an honor to take this time. And I was just telling the lady out the door that majority of the people I notice, especially in my area, the young people are coming out with a lot of asthma. And I said, there's herbs right around where they live that they can make this stuff and drink it, make their kids drink it and get rid of that asthma. But when it comes to a medicine woman, it's really hard. They tend to think you're crazy. They laugh at you. And they think it's not going to work. So the way I've been making people believe my medicine is working is I want them to come to me. I don't run house to house and ask if you need medicine. And the results that I've been getting, I had about 72 clients. And for such a young person, 72 clients, that is a lot. I did a lot of work. It was a lot of hard work. Picking these medicines, each symptoms that come to me is different. Not one is the same. If I have somebody with stomach cancer, and then I have another client that has tumor in the head, and there's so much I could not mention here. But every day I've been getting different clients with different sickness. And just to say, my medicine has been doing wonders. And within the few times that if I see each and every one of you that are here that are doing medicine too, you can try my medicine and you'd be more willing than I was hoping to make some this weekend. Like I only got 1 day off of work each week, so I was thinking of staying home Sunday and make some. I will make some in little jars, and most of you that I met probably can taste it and see what it tastes like. And like I say, I'm young, I'm still learning, and I did miracle touches, in which I never thought I'd have that much people under me looking for help and wanting to come back to health. Don't let people put you down like you think you're going to fail. I felt that a lot of times. I had one lady come up to me. She was taking my medicine for 1.5 years, and then she comes to me and she said, oh, the forestry spray this and that on the trees, and the forestry did this and that to the trees. Don't let that bother you. You yourself as a medicine person, you can go out, you can tell where the place is untouched, because that's what I've been doing. And I explained this to her. I said, I boil this medicine for 4 hours, then I have to strain it and boil it for another couple hours. Do you think any of that germs is going to stay in there, what they sprayed on the trees? And she kind of thought, and she apologized to me. And today she's back on it again, and she's starting to feel a lot better. So the things that I'm doing for my people, I might as well let you know it's not just one thing. It's a majority of sickness that come, different, small or big sickness. Night before, I dream about it when somebody's going to come to me, or I'll dream a member of that family and I know somebody's coming. When Minnie was going to come to me, honest to God, I dreamt about her dad. When she was going to come to me and ask me to come to these meetings, I dreamt about Morris Thomas, like he was still young and healthy, and I told her about it when she came, and she was really shocked that I even mentioned things like this. When my husband, he knows my great-grandma when she was alive, she was a healer. She was a very strong medicine woman, they told me. She took the sickness out of people, and she showed sign when she took it out of them. There was a rainbow that went from that sick person, that sickness that went out back to wherever it came from. This kind of sign my grandma used to show. And if something wasn't going to help, she would sign a thunder, lightning, and it was true. Benny didn't believe her. So each and every way, the way we use our medicine, the faith that we have is how strong your medicine's going to be. If your heart is big, your medicine's going to be stronger. And I never thought, when going down my list in a book the other day, I said, oh my God, was I helping 72 people? And I said, I didn't even realize it. Cooking this medicine every day, and yourself, you will automatically know that person that needs help, and the sickness will come into you yourself. This is my experience I want to share with each and one of you, every one of you, and I know all of you here, you're very good at it, because I would have had some sign already if I didn't like it here, because I was calm. I enjoyed everything that came out of you, and our medicine is going to get stronger. In fact, our medicine is going to come back without realizing it.
For I saved the life of my husband, William. He got cancer around his chest and below the uranus behind the kidney. His cancer, they put it in a terrace scan test, and that cancer results show up. And my driver was Silver Patrick from Burners Lake. And he started tears coming down. That's his uncle. Willie is his uncle. And yeah, I tell him, don't cry beside him, might he feel different. If the Lord help us, we'll do the different way, and we'll do medicine, Indian medicine, what my grandmother and grandfather used to do. My grandfather is Antoine William from Fort St. James, and Teresa Williams is from Babine. I know this medicine since I was 10 years old, up in Nation Lake where my grandpa is trapped line. I went with him for quite a few years. Until 13 years old, I was with my grandfather. And I know he teach me how this medicine All the Indian way I know and know the name of it, not English. Maybe some of you help me with the English. This is first of all that staple club. I call it swamp tea. That's swamp tea. I guess English they call it horse tail, but Indian they call it klauka. This is Chanekjas, we call it. She call it. What's it? Chanekjas. Oh, what's That's the one I don't know the name on English. They call it English in balsam bark, I think.
Balsam bark.
Yeah, balsam bark. The channel sun, they call it in India, the channel sun. That's, what they call it? Maybe they know it, I don't know in English. Channel sun. The channel sun. High English. The channel sun, yeah, they don't make sense. Oh, that shade.
That shade.
Willow bark. Willow
Yeah.
bark.
It's good, that red top, that roots, you see, that big roots. Red top, I don't
And that's so berries, I just strain it and just take in the juice.
I watched my mom make this yesterday. This is what the outcome of all the bark and that she boiled together for 2 hours. She took a handful of each of these ingredients and she boiled it for 2 hours, and this is what it looks like. She has a respiratory problem and she's had it for a long time, about 10 years if not more. And when she drinks this, before she drinks this, she coughs all the time. She's constantly coughing and there's phlegm coming out of her chest. When she drinks this, she only needs to drink about not even half. And she quits coughing and she quits getting phlegm in her chest. And she's good for at least 24 hours and then she starts coughing again, so she has to drink it some more. When she was talking about my dad had a scan test and he was diagnosed to have cancer in his stomach. And they wanted him back in a week, was it?
2 month.
1 month.
29th of May up to 2nd.
These are the beans.
No, it's a year.
She made this whole ingredient and had him
9
drink it.
different things.
She had 9 different ingredients, and she had him drinking it first thing in the morning before he ate breakfast, and had it for lunch and supper. And within a month, he went back to the doctor, and the doctor said that the cancer was gone. So that's a living proof and miracle that my dad is still alive and doing well today, and he doesn't have cancer because of this medicine that my mom had given him.
Madeline, that's a red willow. Red willow.
Red willow.
No, that's different.
Oh, okay.
The red willow, I know red willow. This is different. She called it a little while ago.
The other chairs, there's a different, they call them lutes, open, really, that like bears, red, that's the trees. All the name is different as we talk about different.
That red bears I get out from this tree. I dry it one time, and when I get cough, I just chewing it a little bit at a time, about a teaspoonful bears and chewing it. That's good for cough.
Bush cranberry,
Yeah, that's the kind now I find. That's Madeline Prince, my auntie at Buckley House. He teach me how to use for the cough. And these three things doesn't show in here for that the cancer. There's a beaver cas and what was the mountain? I see one of them over there. What they call it? That for in the mountain. It is built. Yes.
Oh, my
Oh. And Newton and
yarrow.
and
What happened to the Evergreens?
oh, like this kind. This kind of this together that I boil it in 4 hours. Sometimes just soap berries. This one for the before breakfast. I hiding 1 glass. I warm it up and mix with Epsom salt. That's the one he started to clean it out. That's how he rid all the sickness away. I like to share this for a long time to help the cancer people. The thing that I don't speak right in English. Just one woman in Prince George, the one old woman's bingo fan. I meet her and his husband let William George make me a Bruce Birch, what they call it, and a bear grease, him half mix, and that thing 2 kinds, but good for asthma. I had asthma for last 13 years, and Williams, he doesn't want to. Every time they come from Takla, so make this to medicine for me. That's how I learned. Yeah, she make pitch from pine. Those 2 kind, I get better with it. Like I quit, it's come right back again. If I keep on studying like this medicine, now I don't cough. You didn't hurt me a cough. Last night I was coughed badly, but this morning I take about half a glass. It helped me a lot. Well, I guess that's all the sample I have. Oh, my brother Antoine Tom, I guess some people knows him. Antoine Tom, he got blind for some kind of sickness. And this old lady, Sarah Paquette, they call her. She was about 76 that time, I was 13. And she learned me how to make eye medicine. We call that sugar. He put sugar, he make it real soft with hammer, clean hammer, and a clean silk to put it on. And every morning I put that sugar in his eye. In a week time, I have to put string to the bathroom so he doesn't want me to help him. He go out by the doorway, and here it goes down and go to the bathroom with string go to help him to go to the bathroom. And I keep on this with other different kind of medicine. Sasmichan, do it. Like this kind, that's we call it Sasmichan. They always clean it out the outside one, and we just get the green one inside. And we put little bit of water with a clean cloth, about 4 or 5 drops. After that sugar, I put it on this. And then a week time, my brother Antoine, I heard he went out and he make noise on a corner where the string is.
That's right.
He take it off to the bathroom. As he said, my eyes starting getting better. I can see across the lake now. It's happened this morning. I get up and start to pray. Half cry I was talking about this. Then I thought I was happy about my brother get his eye back. Close straight week and a half we work on this medicine to clear all his eye. Like a white stuff outside, that sugar make it cleared up. That's how I helped my brother. It's about 1941. That old woman Sarah Paquette learned me how. He teach me how. I guess that's it. Oh, I have the doctor with it.
With the plants we pick, we learn a lot from my mom. My mom died in 1987, but before she died, she taught me and my sister a lot of plants that we could use to use for our sickness and what we could give it to our kids. Like for food. I just thank Mom done that for me, to us, that we could use those medicine for our healing our kids, our elders. And what Shirley talk about is really, we've been struggling like the people I hear last night. We struggle with forestry too, like they're just doing all kinds of spraying in where we could pick our berries
to dry for winter, save it for winter, so we could feed it to our elders and our kids. But they don't listen to nobody. They just do what they have to do. Now I'm getting into that new land use study from tomorrow. I'm really gonna step on my feet. I will be stronger to fight with them for damaging all those plants we use for our healings to feed our kids. Sap and stuff, those are really healthy things to feed our kids. We brought some samples there and we use those. It's really work for us. We're the only one, we're the Happy River Band is the only one still living like old days how my mom and dad grew up. We live on wildlife. We don't buy like the meat in town too much. I don't really care for those beef and stuff like that. I like my tradition. Food is more important. That really one thing really surprised me is that none of our community members have no cancer yet. To me, I think the reason why this was because of the way we eat. You only use wildlife. Like other bands, lots of people dying with cancer, but at our community. Sure, there's lots of people like older people have asthma and stuff, but not cancer. That really great that we didn't have that in our community. I really have respect for our elders who teach me a lot of good stuff that I could teach my grandkids, my generations. My brother is like us. He likes the way, he's our leader and he likes the way we are, like living our tradition ways. That's very important to him. Because the way we grew up was a hard time we grew up. In those days they don't have houses, like proper house. We used to live in cabins, in a tent. Where we grew up, we're supposed to take our grandkids over there to show them how we grew up. Because some of all those buildings are still standing up. Otherwise, I learn a lot of good stuff from all of you. I hear a lot of good stuff that we've been all struggled together. Like every one of you have same concern as I have with those 4th Street people. And it's really good to come here and to share my knowledge with you, especially the elders here. There's a lot of strength and power. I'm really glad to be here with you, and I will be leaving around 3 o'clock because I have to be at the work tomorrow at my reserve. I have to do more training for the job I'm going to do. So I just want to thank you for being here and listening to me. I just want to say, I'm so glad that my sister welcomed me to come with her to this workshop, and I learned a lot of things here that I wanted to know about cancer and asthma and stuff like that we didn't know. And like my last 2 years we were working with our plant study, that we're the only one that knows more about stuff like that in our reserve, me and my sister, because Our mother taught us a lot of things, what we could use for medicine, what she used on us when we were small. And me and her, we do everything together. We're still keeping our traditional really powerful way, that which our mom teaches, and we can try and meet together, make sure everything is there on the table for our kids. That is the main thing that my mom always taught us. Ever since we start taking those plants, just like it's right there for us, that we just go for it, and we will have picked them and pressed them. And what we did talk about was forestry. They don't listen to nobody, they just where we pick berries and some plants, food plants and stuff like that, they spray. They keep doing that to us each year. Now this spring that they're supposed to spray where we picked berries last year a lot, it was just heavy that we can't even step nowhere because so many berries. Now I heard that they were going to spray that place. And they're just destroying our land. And I always tell my friend Shirley that I just hate those logging trucks. I just don't, got nothing to do with them. I got no use for the logging truck because we lost my brother on running over my brother 2 years back. Last year we were looking for the berries where we picked the first year in '96. We went back over there, they sprayed all that area. We went up that way last year to look for berries. We never found anything. Everything was just dead. I don't know, we'll be lucky to find anything in our area this year. And I'm really glad that I came and I learned a lot of things from these other people. And that's it.
While we're making it, we have to say the prayers for that. And we don't go too near home. We have to go far away. And where the logging area, we have to keep away from that logging area when we're making the medicine, because there's nothing in logging area. All the medicine there, all gone when the logging area is cleared up. We have to go in the bush where there's no logging area. We have to pick what we want. It has to be about a day to pick them, and then another day and another day to fix it all. We live by our medicine. We boil it for ourselves or make it for somebody else. If they tell us to make their medicine for them, we have to make it. Sometimes I don't make it for them. My husband makes it for them because he knows what to get and he knows how to do it the way I do it. And we help the people with it. we cured them with it. We had one boy, about 9-year-old. He was getting leukemia. It took us a year. All year round he was drinking this medicine. Not one day he missed it. From August to August. Sometimes my husband makes it for him. Sometimes I do it. He never missed one day with this medicine. And he went back to Vancouver to see the doctor. When his mother and him, they came back, they came to see us. His mother she came and through the door, and she was laughing and crying at the same time. I said, "What happened?" I said, "What's wrong with you?" I told her. She said, "My boy is cured." And she told me, "Thank you very much for what you've been doing for him." You two of them said. The medicine that I'm talking about is very powerful. It's a different kinds from there's the roseberry bush is very powerful. Even you put little bit, it tastes the medicine. It tastes what the medicine I put in from roseberry bush. It's really powerful. I help everybody everywhere with it. Now I have about 2-3 places to make their medicine for them with cancer. But I couldn't walk around in the bush. I would go with car and he helped me to pick it. If I don't do it, he does it the way I do it. This is the one that I have right here. It looks like that when I finish boiling it, and every one of them, what I make in there, what the medicine is in here, you taste it in there, every one of them. You taste the medicine, you taste the plant that I make. Especially mostly I put more raspberry, wild raspberry cane. I take the skin out of the raspberry cane, and I use the inside one. I scrape the inside one. I make about 8 or 9 cans, and I put it in there. That's the most important thing, that raspberry cane. It purifies your blood. Everything that is in here, it's for something else, different type of things in your body. Our young people, most of our young people, I'm trying to teach them. They say they want to learn. I said, you have to learn about that. Most of them, they have it written down.
My father and old grandfather suffered, they used to poison from being children. But lately, Alec, my son, has brought back the sweat lodge. and we have a sweat every once in a while. And this is what you use to boil this. They just need that thing. This. Sultan. I bought some. I found one of his children had very deep hacking cough and she can't get rid of it. And so usually he boiled that in a pail and used that on the rocks while they were in the sweat. You go 4 rounds, and that was helping to ease her deep cough. Excuse me. This red willow, like they were explaining, I've been using this for quite a while. Use that for when they get sick too, when there's flu around, like where I boil some, and especially when they have diarrhea, that's a good cure. I use piece of beaver castor with it seems that whenever we boil any kind of medicine that we drink, we use a piece of beaver castor. That beaver castor has a very, very big healing power in it. That is why we use that. Because that beaver castor, one time, my mother had a broken wrist right across, and she cried and cried. And she couldn't sleep. Finally, my husband said, "Gee, that children was crazy." And that big piece of beaver castor in the smokehouse, light the fire, I told me put water. So I did in a pan and put water. Come back in with that big long beaver castor, with people just slice it in half, put it in that pan, turn it around. Didn't even use ointment on it. I put it plain like that on this side, and then put wet cloth on it. And then I bend it up, and I straighten her hand with a cast right there. I put a stick there. And within 20 minutes, she wasn't crying anymore, so I deep asleep. So that beaver castor too is very good medicine. And this is another good thing for diarrhea, I said so. These things I've used, and I know they are good, that's why I brought just what I know. And this, and right there, that cuss is not a good medicine, but this is strong. So just don't use very big one, or when you boil it for pain, and use it with that red willow. And of course you put the beaver castor in it. That's what my mother was doing. This one looks like from a lot of put it level. Good lotion. That's another thing we use in the sweat lotion. And to just burn the bark off like that, or we put the fire and just wipe it clean, and we take the bark off and we boil that, and we use that in a sweat lodge too. It's really helping when my back is really no good. Could hardly walk sometimes anymore until I start this. And my chest too, it helps me. I've been going through the sweats quite a bit with my children. So I said that they don't go much for it, they don't agree with it, but we do. Ever since we started, children too, they have been getting to be better people, and we're teaching them in the old traditional ways. And they know which ones, the older ones, I'm teaching them this. So this is not a good thing, but that's far good thing. If we get it. When we have children, people, aching people, we use this. We use the bark of it, we'll find it, how we put it on the soul, for its soul, for its aching. And we've done close on it to keep it working. This is what we use it for anyway. This one, the last but not the least, is La Tarifa.
Yarrow,
Yeah, yeah, this La Tarifa was the whole thing right to the roots. My mother had a broken hip, and so many months she couldn't walk. And finally she thought of this. She told us to get some for her, so we did. And she would have a little tub and used to fill it up full. And we boiled it in there until it was just like with black tea, so she drank it with strained some in different jars for her, and the rest put her feet in there and use a washcloth and keep soaking her and putting it on her back, maybe it will hold, putting it with cloth on her back, let her keep doing that to her every day. Within a few months she was walking. So this is, and we use that beaver castor with it too. And that's really good plant. So this is all the medicine that I came here to share with you.
we have all the grey hair, we have Kasi Benazia.